Before we deconstruct the brutal legal machinery currently targeting your career, I have 3 critical questions for you to answer in the comments below. Number 1, have you ever been placed on a performance improvement plan and actually genuinely believed the company wanted you to succeed? Number 2, if your HR department suddenly handed you a 30-day performance matrix, would you know how to mathematically prove that metric were designed to fail? Number 3, do you understand the lethal difference between a traditional managerial warning and an algorithmic termination protocol? Let me know your answers. If you're new to the channel, here is my intro. I'm Dr. HR. I approach the global labor and capital market not with the emotional, comforting advice, but as a structural algorithmic system. I hold a PhD in human resources, a master's from prestigious Tata Institute of Social Sciences, TISS in Mumbai, and a bachelor's in computer engineering. Operating on the ground here in Dubai since 2010, consulting for Tier 1 corporate entities, sovereign wealth funds, and apex tech founders, I have monitored exactly how global talent is audited, leveraged, and ultimately extracted. The Performance Improvement Plan PIP or PIP you just signed isn't a lifeline, it is a death warrant written by an algorithm. In the 2026, PIPs have officially evolved into an automated termination trap designed specifically to be mathematically impossible to complete. If you have been handed one, your exit is already programmed. Here is exactly how the trap works. We have completely decoded the new legal landscape of 2026, where HR workflow have been transformed into a liability-proof execution protocol. Corporate benchmarks are now engineered for non-compliance, creating a flawless digital paper trail that justifies your firing before you even fail. We are exposing the high-tech machinery, turning your professional development into an engineered, unstoppable exit. Your career longevity is under severe threat by a hyper-regulated corporate environment that treats employee like an obsolete bug in a software system. These mandatory improvement plans are the new industry standard for firing you without legal blowback. Learn to recognize the exact sign of an algorithmic trap and how to protect your sovereign capital before the system initiates your termination. Before I completely dismantle the illusion of corporate rehabilitation, expose the exact mathematical parameters of a liability-proof execution, and give you the precise architectural blueprint to extract yourself from the guillotine, hit the subscribe button and press the notification bell. I post daily videos showing you exactly how to navigate the global labor and capital market using cold, hard engineering logic. You do not want to miss these survival protocols. Stop trying to survive a game that is rigged. Start hacking the parameters. Grab a notebook, it is time to audit your own execution. Phase 1, the provocative warning, the algorithmic death warrant. We must first diagnose the exact debilitating illusion that destroys 99% of employees who are placed on a performance improvement plan. In the legacy corporate era of 2025 or 2020, a PIP was occasionally used by a frustrated manager as a genuine attempt to correct bad behavior. It was a subjective emotional warning. The manager wanted you to communicate better or show more initiative. If you smiled more and stayed late for a month, you survived. In May 2026, the emotional warning is dead. Tier 1 corporations operating with massive enterprise resource planning softwares like Oracle SCM do not use PIPs to improve your performance. They use PIP to sanitize their balance sheet. When a company decides you are too expensive or that an AI agent can do your job for zero marginal cost, they cannot simply fire you. If they fire you without cause, they expose themselves to a massive wrongful termination lawsuit, severance payouts, and regulatory fines. To eliminate this friction, they deploy the PIP. The 2026 PIP is an algorithmic death warrant. When HR hands you a 30-day or a 60-day plan, the decision to terminate you are already made weeks ago in closed-door meetings. The document you are signing is not a roadmap to saving your job, it is a legal architecture of your own firing. The machine needs data to prove you are incompetent, and the PIP is a mechanism designed to harvest that exact failure data. If you view the PIP as a second chance, you are walking blindly into a structural slaughterhouse. You will burn your cognitive bandwidth, sacrifice your physical health, and work 80 hours a week trying to hit the targets. completely unaware that the targets were generated by an algorithm designed to ensure you miss them. Phase 2, the investigative deep dive, the engineering non-compliance. To understand how you're being trapped, we must execute an investigative deep dive into the new legal landscape of HR. We must translate the concept of a liability-proof execution protocol into plain, actionable engineering logic. In plain language, a liability-proof execution protocol means the corporation has written a legal and mathematical script that fires you, while simultaneously generating a perfect defense that guarantees they will crush you in the court if you attempt to sue them. They achieve this by deploying engineered non-compliance. When an Apex HR architect designs a PIP in 2026, they use Oracle Transactional Business Intelligence (OTBI) and predictive analytics to audit your historical output. Let us say you are a senior supply chain director managing a massive logistics hub in Jebel Ali. Historically, your team processes 5,000 units a week. The HR algorithm calculates the absolute maximum biological limit of your team, factors in current market friction, and set your PIP benchmark 15% above the mathematical realm of possibility. The PIP document states to remain in your role, you must increase unit processing by 6,500 units per week, while simultaneously reducing the operational budget by 12%. To the untrained eye, this looks like a stretch goal. To an engineer, this is a mathematical paradox. You cannot increase physical velocity by 30% while simultaneously starving the system of 12% of its required kinetic capital. The physics do not align. The corporation knows you will fail. They need you to fail. Every Friday, when you only process 5,200 units, the Oracle system automatically logs a compliance failure. It generates a time-stamped, unalterable digital artifact proving that you fell short of an agreed-upon corporate mandate. By the end of the 30-day cycle, HR possesses a massive, impenetrable wall of objective data. If you try to claim you were fired because of your age, your gender, or your salary, the corporation's legal defense is terrifyingly simple. This termination has nothing to do with bias. Here is the data. The operator signed a performance matrix and mathematically failed to execute the baseline metrics for 4 consecutive weeks. They have engineered your non-compliance. They have turned your professional struggle into a weaponized paper trail. Phase 3, the physics of the trap, the asymmetrical data war. We must address the psychological warfare embedded in this process. You are fighting an asymmetrical data war. You are placed on a PIP. The corporation immediately initiates a structural freeze on your resources. This is the invisible component of the trap that employees never anticipate. If your goal is to close a $2 million deal in new enterprise software sales to survive your PIP, you assume you have the full backing of the corporation to achieve that goal. This is a fatal assumption. In the background, the corporation executes a shadow protocol. They instruct your manager to slowly throttle your access to the value stream. Your marketing budget is quietly paused for review. Your access to Tier 1 sales engineering team is restricted due to other corporate priorities. The legal department suddenly takes 7 days to approve your client contract instead of usual 24 hours. They are applying Lean Six Sigma logic in reverse. Instead of removing friction from your value stream, they are strategically injecting latency into your daily operation. You're running a race with a parachute strapped to your back, while HR department stands at the finish line with a stopwatch, shaking their head at lack of your velocity. The psychological toll this takes is devastating. The employee believing they are fighting for their career begins to internalize the failure. They believe they are actually incompetent. Their cortisol spikes. Their amygdala hijacks their prefrontal cortex, causing their executive decision-making to collapse. They enter a state of biological panic. This is exactly what the algorithm wants: a panicked, exhausted employee who does not fight back. A broken employee quietly signs the termination paperwork, accepts the minimal severance package, and walks out the door. The trap snaps shut, and the corporate balance sheet is optimized. Phase 4, the Survivalist Guide, the Counter-Protocol. If you are an Apex operator and you receive a PIP, you must instantly shift your psychology. Do not cry, do not beg, do not promise to work harder. You must recognize that the system has initiated your termination and you must deploy the counter-protocol. You cannot win a rigged game by playing harder. You win by hacking the parameter of the game. Step 1. the algorithmic audit. Do not sign blindly. When HR hands you the PIP, they will pressure you to sign it immediately. They will frame it as an acknowledgement of receipt. Do not sign it. You look the HR director in the eye and deploy the cold, mathematical logic. I'm fully committed to aligning with the strategic goal of this firm. However, as an operator who relies on structural data, I must audit the metrics in this document. I require 48 hours to cross-reference these KPIs with my historical telemetry and current resources allocation. You take the document, you perform a value stream map of the goal, you identify the exact mathematical paradoxes. Step 2. Documenting the friction, the reverse paper trail. You cannot refuse the PIP, but you can heavily legally contextualize it. You write a formal, highly sanitized, data-heavy response. I accept the target of 6,500 units per week. However, the data indicate that achieving a 30% increase in output requires a corresponding 15% increase in operational budget or immediate clearance of the current legal approval bottlenecks. I have noted that my budget was reduced by 12% yesterday. Therefore, I will execute this mandate to absolute limit of the physical constraint placed upon my department. You have just ruined their liability-proof execution protocol. You have created a parallel paper trail proving that the failure was not due to your incompetence, but due to systematic, intentional corporate starvation. If they fire you, your lawyer will use their own OTBI data to prove the environment was rigged. Step 3. The sovereign extraction, moving before the guillotine. The ultimate survivalist move is understanding that you do not want to survive the PIP. You want to extract your capital before the guillotine drops. The moment you are placed on a PIP, your tenure at that company is over. Your only objective during the 30-day window is to secure your next high-leverage position while you are still technically employed. The market pays a premium for an employed apex operator looking for a new challenge. The market brutally discounts an unemployed manager who was just fired for performance. You use the 30 days to build your escape velocity. You do not work 80 hours for a company that is trying to execute you. You work the bare minimum to avoid immediate insubordination. And you dedicate your absolute maximum cognitive bandwidth to architecting your market pivot. Phase 5, the sovereign architecture, reclaiming leverage. We have diagnosed the algorithmic death warrant. We have exposed the engineered non-compliance, mapped the asymmetrical data war, and deployed the Survivalist Counter-Protocol. The final phase is ensuring that you never find yourself at the mercy of a corporate trap again. You must build the sovereign architecture. Why do employees fall victim to the PIPs? Because they allow their entire professional identity and financial security to become tethered to a single centralized corporate entity. They become a dependent. In 2026, dependence is a fatal vulnerability. You must transition from an employee into a sovereign operator. You must establish your own undeniable proof of competence that exists entirely outside of your employer's HR software. You cannot rely on your manager's internal performance review to dictate your market value. You must build high-fidelity proof of work, artifacts that a global capital market can audit directly. When you solve a massive systematic bottleneck in your industry, you do not just email your boss about it, you abstract the victory. You step into your acoustic-treated digital studio. You deploy your elite Cineline gear, your Sony FX series camera with a razor-sharp cinematic lighting. You import the raw, sanitized data of your architectural triumph into DaVinci Resolve 20. You edit the broadcast flawlessly, utilizing the advanced node-based architecture to present the metric beautifully. You record a highly structured, unsentimental video essay deconstructing exactly how you deploy the Lean Six Sigma to eradicate supply chain latency. You broadcast this artifact to your private network, to elite executive search firms, and to global capital allocator. When you broadcast your absolute undeniable competence to the global grid, you strip your current employer of their leverage. If your company attempts to place you on a fraudulent PIP, it does not matter. The market already knows exactly who you are and exactly what you are capable of. When the HR department tries to trap you, you simply execute your extraction. You walk across the street to a competitor and command a 30% premium because your value is verified by the market. and not by an internal algorithm. Look closely at the document sitting on your desk. Is it a genuine attempt to help you grow, or is it a mathematically impossible matrix designed to harvest your failure data? The 2026 corporate machine has no empathy. It operates on cold, calculated liability management. Stop believing the illusion. Audit the matrix. Document the friction. Execute your sovereign extraction and transform yourself into an asset that cannot be trapped by the algorithm. Process the data, execute the strategy, and I'll see you at the top.